So today I'm going to talk about covenants and what you roll. It's going to be a longer video on covenants, and I'll have guest appearances from other endgame players, notably Satan, otherwise known as Monchi. He's a Caro player. He's also does 400 D Tide. He disagrees with me on Clem. We disagree on some things. We agree with each other on a lot of things, especially covenants. So people have been asking to be an in-depth covenant guy because I gave you options, which was a mistake in my previous videos because people want to be spoon-fed exactly what to roll for substat wise, which is unlocked at level 55. So this is my spreadsheet. I listed every stat you can possibly roll for the beginning, first six pieces here, and all the substats you can get. Now, depending on what the covenant you have is, DPS, support, etc., you roll different substats on each different covenant depending on your team. I'm going to go over the three most important universal covenants. One of them with Monty guest appearance, because I record this out of order, and he needs to sleep because it's midnight. I'm going to be up. I only sleep like 4 or 3 hours a day, sometimes 2, because that's optimal. He needs 9 hours of sleep because he's crazy. So, covenants. You unlock this early on, and some covenants are locked depending on what chapter you are or what account level. So, you're not going to get access to every covenant at the start of the game, but these are weapons in other games. I'll probably update this, but I don't see a need to. This keeps getting moved around. I don't know why. I have to fix this every now and then. I think it's because when I poured it over from Excel. Anyway, I don't want to drag this video on. So, first off, I'm going to talk with you and Monchi about the best covenant every player should have, which is Life Drain. Life Drain is... Okay, I'm going to change the name because it used to be called Life Siphon. It got retranslated. Life Drain is unlocked after you beat Chapter 7. This is what 99.99999% of endgame players would say is the most important wheel in the game. If you want coaching from me, I do coaching on the weekends. Just message me if you want D-type coaching or endgame coaching. However, I might do a long coaching stream later this week, on Friday or Saturday. I might even do it after this video is done. So, Life Drain is essential, especially in Arc 2 and Endgame, which is Arc 2 rules. Now, let me switch over to game. It's unlocked by Chapter 7. So, this is what it looks like in the game. So, I'm going to switch to a segment of me talking with Monchi about how this is the most important thing in the entire game. Period. So, me and Satan both agree the S key covenant is the most important one that you should roll for substat first. Isn't that right, Satan? Otherwise known as Monchi?
Life Drain is
It's mandatory.
used in every single team.
I think every endgame player would agree with this. Like, I don't think anyone who does 400 or higher runs a comp without this. I think like 99% of comps runs this.
Yep.
There's like maybe a niche comp every now and then. So this is the covenant you need to roll as a new player. Like, we can have debates on which realm is good, which realm is bad. This covenant, there's no debate. There's no debate. Just roll this first, because DPS covs, you're gonna have to use a different one for every single team, DPS wise. Steppenwolf, Dreams, the Heart. What else they're ever called? They keep getting retranslated. I think this.
Twin Black, right?
Yeah, but as a free-to-play player, even as a whale, you don't get enough resources to pull every covenant you want. Like, I don't think we can even get every covenant. Like, how many covenants have you done?
Have I built above 80%? I have quite a bit.
Yeah, but it's like 10s are extremely rare. That's about all. I'm gonna keep talking about the rest of the video unless there's anything else you want to talk about covenant-wise. But Life Drain is that important.
Yeah, I think Life Drain is the most important. I do believe in the death res, so Burial Ground is also.
Yeah, I will recommend Burial Ground. will
Yeah, sure.
recommend Burial Ground. Except for I don't use it in my teams, but people do use it. I think it's a good option as opposed to DPS wheels as a new player because these are universal. DPS wheels are like situation by situation, and on end game you need like five teams or more. So you're gonna be switching around DPS cubs a lot. So you need to
Yeah,
decide which one.
I think like the priority to me is like okay, the life
Life
train wheel because
Drain,
it's
I
easy to
think.
get, it's cheap, right? And you
Yeah,
have to roll it.
I think
The
Life
death res
Drain,
wheel
Burial
is
Grounds,
second.
and the Further Metamorphosis, the Alienist
Yeah,
one. I think those
re-evolution.
three.
The problem with re-evolution though is that it is extremely expensive from a resource perspective, right? Like you have to use
Mm-hmm.
dive dive jewels, I think that's what it's called, the pearls,
Yep.
and that makes it harder to make. But I think
But
in
once you
general, if
make
you
it
use three
once,
sets,
you're like done for the
you're
rest of the
done.
game.
Yeah,
And unlike DPS wheels, which every time there's a new arc, the meta can change. Like remember in Arc 1, crit rate was completely garbage because all
yeah,
the relics gave you crit rate. So every player had to re-roll their like DPS cups to include crit rate. Whereas
yeah.
Life
Like my
Drain,
my step in wolf went from 10, and then I rolled it now. I think I'm at 20%, but that's like a huge investment to change, right?
yeah. And Life
For crit rate.
Drain and like the DR one, and for example, this will never change. No matter if they buff, you always roll for Key Flare on the, Life Drain one because of the effect. How much Key Flare. Think on Dia Death Whereas you always roll Death Res. So they can never, be re-rolled, as you can say. Once you make one, you're like done for the life of the game. For that specific covenant.
Correct.
Yeah. So you can go to bed now. I'm gonna be up for the next
Okay. Have a
six
good
seven
night.
hours. Yep. Okay. Now that you've seen his opinion and my opinion, we're in complete agreement. Both of us are in agreement. You don't know how important this is. That means if you disagree with us, you're fucking wrong and you're fucking trash garbage, dude. Holy shit. This key flare regen, because in order to unlock rouses, you need key flare. And each key flare buffs your counter, buffs your poison damage, buffs a lot of things in Arc 2. Rousing is important. It takes key flare. I can go over my Arc 2 rule video. So, what this set does at turn end, gain key flare equals to 200% of the equipping character's key flare regen. You ignore the second part. It doesn't matter if you're playing Carol or not. You put this on everyone. Every fucking team. So, this effect, 200% of equipped characters' key flare. Insane. This lets you generate a lot of key flare. So, we're going to talk about Covenant stat rerolling. So, as a new player, as a free-to-play player, as a low spender, even as a whale, you are extremely limited on resources. Mostly pens. This is the holy grail of endgame mats. This pen item, which I show on the spreadsheet. This is so fucking important. And you're limited. Even if you whale out in the game, you cannot get extra pens. Besides getting, like, the only source of pens you have as a free-to-play or as a dolphin or even as a whale are Battle Pass, which you get 100 pens a month as a free-to-play. An extra 300 if you buy the Battle Pass. So 400 a month here. And the only other source of getting pens as a spender, only other source, besides, the thing, which are very limited, in important values, is in-sheaf supply, which gives you 30 a day for 30 days. So 900 pens a month. This is the biggest source of pens you can get. So it's 1,200. And people say, why don't you talk about the script exchange pens or, the sediment pens? This is only 20. You don't want to spend your sediments on this for 20 pens a week. What about this? This is 10 pens. You buy this whenever it's up. 1,600. And again, this is 10. 10. 10 a week, 40. This is 10. 10 a week. It uses this endgame map. It's too expensive. This You never buy. Pearls is so fucking important to buy the dupes. So fucking important. You don't buy this. Don't buy this in this shop. So, as a free-to-play, as a dolphin, as a whale, you're going to be gate kept by pens. And this is the endgame mat to roll covenants. These covenants, see I have 95%. This is after a year of playing the game, basically. It's many. These are my covenants. This is the best get after a year. So you have to choose your covenants to invest in wisely. That's why life drain you have to invest in first. Now, how does covenant rolling work? So let me go in depth here. So a covenant is a pizza. It's comprised of 6 parts. Every part can roll a different stat as the main stat. I'm talking about main stats first. Now I'm going to substats. So I'm gonna switch over to the sheet. So depending on which part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get a choice of 4 parts when you randomly farm these things. You can farm them from farming them using stamina. You can farm them from, buying them from the shop. Every covenant has a different place. Where you get them, it's on the spreadsheet. I wrote it to the side. Again, I will fix this after the video. This keeps getting broken. So, remember, I'm doing this in my free time. I have a real job. I have a, believe it or not. So, here we go. First part, crit rate, crit damage, alien mystery gen, silver key. So, I'll go into what these stats mean now. So, these are all the possible substats you can get. There are 8 stats in the game you can get for your covenants or your weapons. Crit rate, crit damage, self-explanatory. If you play any video games, you understand what these stats do. Roll mastery, garbage. They are reworking roll mastery next year. Like mid to late next year to be less garbage. Right now, garbage. But Light has confirmed that they are going to rework it. So we'll not discuss on why it's garbage because it's going to be changed. It's going to be buffed or it's going to be reworked completely. Damage amp used to be called strong or attack potency. Again, the game uses AI translations or fan translations. Use synonyms. When it says attack potency, it's damage amp. If it uses strong, it's damage amp. Damage amp is universal. Unlike crit rate, unlike crit damage, which only applies to the awakener that equips the wheel. If you have a covenant that gives 20% crit rate on your, let's say your caucus, it will not give that 20% crit rate to any other unit on your team. Only the caucus and only his cards. But damage amp affects the entire team, which is why it's very good stat, even on your support characters. Because it's a % damage buff for your entire team, period. So that's what damage amp does. Just think of it as a damage multiplier. So alien mystery gen. Or recharge. Again, they're going to be called alien mystery charge, alien mystery gen, synonyms, AI translations. This is just the mana your character has to exalt. Most people would say it's garbage in 90% of cases, and I would agree. It's too low to matter in most covenants except for one covenant, which I'll go over later in the video. Now, S-key regen. The most important stat in the game in Arc 2. In Arc 1 last year, if you find any old guides, they will rate this stat bad. But Arc 2 reworked. Is now the best stat in the game. That's why I'm hesitant to say Road Master is complete garbage. It is complete garbage now at this point in time. At this point in time, at the time of recording this video, it's garbage. When they rework this, it might become as strong as S-key. Because S-key with Arc 2 rules, broken. It's silver key regen. It lets you posse. It lets you rouse units. It's essential on Tawil, on every fucking team in the game. So important. That's why Life Drain is the best covenant in the game. Black Sigil drop. Some people believe in this. Some people say it's a useless stat. Some people say it's the goated stat. I think it's great. But on covenants, I'll put it on support covenants. But other things are slightly more important. How much you want money. In order to make this worth it, you need a lot of this. So you want a covenant which is all Black Sigils if you really believe in it. Because remember, it's each piece. If you only have one piece with Black Sigil, like that's like 1% more money you'll get in a run. 1% more money will not buy you another relic. So if you are going for Black Sigil, you have to go all in Black Sigil. Everywhere. Then it'll add up. It'll add up to like 100. If you go all in, all 4 units, probably 100%, probably 150% sigil gain. That's double the money. But again, I would not recommend it. But some people believe in the money. If you believe in money, go all in. But that's a decision you as a player have to make for your own. Very few players, by few, I mean no one does this. So Death Res. I do not believe in Death Res. Minus a few covenants. Some people believe in all death res. Death resistance, what it means is increase the percentage of DR. So you can have over 100%, you have 200%, 300%. That means every time you would die, take a fatal hit, you don't die. And then it halves. It has diminishing returns every time you proc it during a run. So it's going to be halved, etc. So some people would say get enough so it's 100% so it's not RNG. I say live with RNG. You don't need it. You just reset. Find the path that you can proc that 20% DR if you need it. Or if you have an endgame comp already, generally in my blue wool, I hardly ever proc DR. Just look at my runs. Hardly ever happens. But some comps need it. It's a person-to-person basis. I do not believe in it. So I think you rather want other stats. And you need, it's same with Black Sigil. You need enough DR to make it worth it for you. Like, how much DR do you feel is worth it? Because this is subjective stats. Like, this is a subjective stat. Because, again, if you don't proc DR, if you don't die, it's a waste. Why not put in damage, more damage? Why not put in more Esky? Why not put in more crit, for example? Like, if you're not going to die during a stage, or if you're going to ecog, then it's kind of a wasted stat, in my opinion. So, now that we go over the substats, those are what the stats do, and these are what it can roll. So, I'll go over what you want for every covenant. I'll go over every covenant in the game. It's going to be a long video. Bear with me. So, because this is going to be my last covenant video, I'm going to make it as in-depth as possible. I'm going to ramble as long as I possibly can. So, for the Life Drain set, which is S-Key, what do you want to roll? First, S-Key. Second, Sigil Drop. Because Roll Mastery, right now, is useless. However, if you want to invest with the rework, and you think the rework is going to make it broken, we don't know, put in Roll Mastery. But that's for future you. Right now, money. Because you know why? Your S-Key wheel is going to go on a support character. Support characters do not do damage. They are supporting your team. That's why they're called support characters. Okay? So, a support character doesn't need crit. They're supporting your team, put in money, you get more team. Now, third, it's between damage amp or def res. Remember, you don't want crit on your support S-Key wheel. I would say damage amp. Universal. It buffs your team's damage. If you need def res, you make a def res covenant not on your life drain. Fourth stat, S-Key. Don't look at other ones. S-Key. This is S-Key. Fifth one, S-Key. 6-1, damage amp. Universal. It buffs your entire team. Money is good. Death res is okay. But this you can use on every team as a more general use set. Because you are only gonna do this once. And you move on to other covenants. So let me go to my invested life drain covenant. To show that I practice what I preach, unlike other content creators. They will tell you to pull for old trash. They don't even clear the game fast enough, dude. You're fucking garbage. Holy shit. So, S key. Sigil. Damage amp. S key. S key. Damage amp. I practice what I preach. Okay? So, what do you roll for substats? You wonder. Rolling for covenants is extremely expensive. And I will not suggest you going hardcore. Some whales, some people go hardcore. They say, I want my key flare to only have key flare regen. I say, in order to min-max your resources as a player, roll until you get a maxed out key flare regen. For the first slot, second slot, you then free up. If it's a maxed out key flare, great. If you get a maxed out damage amp, you keep it. So this opens up your possibility. So rather than looking for one perfect stat out of the 8 fucking stats, you're looking for 2 out of 8. This will save you a lot of resources because you start using pens. Now, since I already rolled all that, I'm going to roll on a different covenant. Just to show you how rolling covenants work in general. So let me see what covenant I should work on personally. Let's work on this. So I'm just going to work on this covenant just to show you. So let's see what do I want here. Oh, this is garbage. Yeah, so imagine this is the key flare. So every time you roll on a covenant, it costs 7,500 gold rows, which is whatever. I have 100 million. And 3 of this. 3,000 face seals. This is also limited. But how you get this in bulk is converting pens into this. So if you run out, you convert pens, which I'll show you now how to do it. So you make this into seals, but blah, blah, blah. So let's see. You click on any one of these papers. I call these papers. Doesn't matter what they are. You put the plus, you put this. You max it out, 200. That's the cap. So I'll make you how cancer this is. Sorry. Okay. So I'm doing this for the content. I would never do this because I have enough already. So now we have 4,000 paper. 200 pens convert into 4,000 of this. And this converts to this at a 1-to-1 rate. This will take 90% of your time playing the game. Like, you have to do it, and it caps out at 200. Convert. Do it again. Convert. Do it again. So you do this to get lots of 1,000 face seals. They're gonna retranslate this word, okay? We call these stamps in the community. These are stamps. Those are pens, these are stamps. I don't know why they call them 1,000 face in this translation. Again, the AI translation is really bad. So once you have enough of this, you then spam. You don't care if it's high stat because you want a maxed out covenant spec, especially for covenants you are going to use forever. Remember, you do this once. You can reuse this on every team, especially the life drain one. On every fucking team, you can reuse this. So you want maxed out stat for the first lot. Some people say, oh, no. If anyone tells you to settle if it's almost maxed for the first lot, they're wrong. They're telling you to waste your fucking resources. Like, this is wasting less resources in the long run. Because when you're going back to redo your covenants, if you ever have to go back and redo it, that's wasted pens. Because, see here? Some people's like, oh, it's crit damage, it's fine, I'll lock it. You then start using pens. Every time you walk a stat, You use pens, and locking 2 stats uses 10. So you want your walk stats to be a maxed out stat you want to walk in. You don't want to walk a stat that is not maxed out. Because later on, you're going to go back and roll for it. That's wasted pens. And when you're rolling for the first stat, you don't use any pens without any locking. You use 0. You only use this, and it's a very good rate. As I showed you, very, very good. It's 1 pen for 20 seals. So you basically keep rolling. You spam. You don't even look at what you're rolling, because once it gets a maxed out stat, it stops you. It stops you. You look if it's key flare or a stat you want. The stat you want, the first row is the most important row. So, I'm just keep rolling this. Keep rolling this. This is a support covenant. So, let's say this was S key. I didn't keep it. You know what you do next? You go to the next piece. You roll until you get a maxed out stat you are looking for, depending on the covenant. For the life drain one, the most important wheel covenant in the game. Sorry, I keep using wheels. You keep rolling until you get a maxed out key flare, or S key as people call it. You keep rolling until you get that one stat. That one stat, you keep rolling. Because remember, this covenant is going to be used on every fucking team. Doesn't matter what team you're using. You're using it on every team you have. Universal. I recommend that over DPS wheels. Covenants. I will keep using wheels because I don't know why. I just keep using the word. So that is what you want to do for the life drain set. Now, what did I do? I maxed out key flare. If it's damage amp, I keep it. Once you get 2 maxed out stats, you then double walk. It uses 10 pens now. Like single walk, it only uses 1. So if it's a 1 lock reroll, you roll until you get another maxed out stat you want. Because remember, it's very cheap. Once you get to double walk, then you start getting picky. Then you don't go for max. You go for good enough. Everyone, even whales, go for good enough because we're time gated. This is great. This is something I'll never roll on again. Double max, almost max. This is something that's decent, but I can roll again if I wanted to, but I don't want to waste the resources. This is decent, triple key flare. This, pretty decent. My life drain set is complete. I'll never roll on it again because I'd rather roll on other covenants. Once you get a life drain set good enough for most people should be 82 to 85% once you get a maxed out key flare in the first thing. And then you start going on to your next covenants. Now, the next one people will tell you to get is either Burial Grounds, the Death Res one for certain teams, is universal, or Further Metamorphosis, which, as Monty said, is expensive. It uses pearls to roll for it. So Further Metamorphosis, Alien Mist regen. You put it on people who want to exalt a lot as a support. So on Jito, for example, on Orita, on Tulu, on certain Awakers, they want Alien Mist regen. Now, what stats do you want for Alien Mist regen covenant? Alien Mist regen. This is the only covenant in the game you will want Alien Mist regen on. Every other covenant, if you roll Alien Mist regen as a substat, you trash it. Even if it's maxed out, it's garbage. Because this is the Alien Mist regen covenant. So you're going to put this on Awakers that want Alien Mist regen. So, logically, Alien Mist regen. Other stats that are good, Key Flare. Okay, let me equip it so you can see. These are the stats I have. Since I put this on support characters, Alien Mist regen, this is 99% of the time put on support characters. So, you want Alien Mist regen, Sigil Yield, Damage Amp, or Key Flare. If it's any one of these 4 stats maxed out, you keep. So this is one of the cheapest covenants you can possibly roll because it's 4 out of 8 stats you're looking for. So as long as it's any one of these 4 stats, you lock it in, you keep it. Now let me go back to the spreadsheet so I can show you. So for an Alimus regen cub, you can even be flexible with this. Like for the first piece, you can go Alimus regen or Eski. No bad options there. For the second piece, only sigil drop. Again, if you believe the Role Mastery rework will make it OP, invest in the future. Now, third, damage amp. Universal, even on supports, it buffs your entire team. Your person who's wearing the Alimus Regen Covenant is not gonna crit. It's not gonna do crit damage. It's a support character. You roll it only on damage carries. Fourth, you're gonna put either Alimus or Eski. These are the 2 options. Probably Eski. I would say Eski or Alimus. I probably did Alimus back then. So same with the 5th. Choose one of these. It's what you want specifically. Remember, universal. This is a universal Alimus regen wheel. I would say invest in Alimus because my logic is if you're putting the Alimus covenant on someone, that means they really want Alimus. So logically, you want more Alimus regen over Keyflare. But there's no wrong option between the 2. Last option, damage amp. Remember, universal stat. Very good. You ignore sigil drop, DR, and Realm Mastery. Now, let me go back to the game and talk about this meta wheel. Remember, I'm going over the meta wheel covenants first. I will keep saying wheels throughout the entire video. You can't stop me. I can't stop myself. I don't know why. I keep calling these wheels for some reason. Even though they're covenants, they're pieces. I'm trying to train my brain. So, Alimus regen. Sigil. Damage amp here. Yep. Alimus regen. Sigil. I like the money on this. I know why I put money. Because I was like, I want the money back then. And it was too good. You know why I have sigil on this, even though I told you not to? This is why. I did not roll for this. I clicked the once, and it got me 2 stats maxed out. I'm like, I'm keeping this. Yeah, I'm keeping this for the percentage. For substats for this Alienist wheel, you free up your criteria because this wheel is not as important as life drain. If it's key flare, if it's damage amp, if it's Alienist regen, and it's maxed out, you keep it. You keep it. You keep it. If it's maxed out, you fucking keep it. So you can be done rolling for this covenant and work on a different covenant. So this is all the things I kept. These are very good rolls. These are very good rolls. This is one of my best covenants. I will never touch it again. I'm sorry if most of your interests go into DPS carries. Do not roll for DPS covenant substats first. That is the worst thing you can possibly do as a new player. If anyone tells you to roll for DPS covenants first, they're telling you to brick your account basically. Because these resources are extremely limited. Like, you say Machi and I agree on how important damage, life drain, and support covenants are. Now, I want to go over that and go back to talking about support covenants in a second. The reason why? Every DPS team uses different DPS covenant. Tawil uses Dreams. Calf uses Paradox. Gellet uses April, Praise, or Heart. Like, Caster uses... I don't know why I have this here. It's probably... Yeah. Uses Steppenwolf. Doracine uses Heart. Like, you see what I'm trying to tell you. If you're rolling for DPS Covenant, it's not universal. You're going to have to make a new one for every fucking team. And that's expensive. You do that last. Because if you work on the support covenants first, that means in D-Tide where you use 5 to 10 teams, you will have good covenants for every team because Life Drain goes on every team. To show the proof of pudding, every fucking team. I'll even show you my D-Tide run. This is my D-Tide, 410. So, let's see. Look, Life Drain. Life Drain. Life Drain. Let me go on the leaderboards. Let's like the whales. Let's see. Let's see. So, in most cases, Life Drain. Life Drain. Life Drain. But you see, the other wheels, they change. They change depending on the situation. Like this one, it's the DR one. That makes sense because you don't really need it on the Word 3. This one, you don't need Keyflare. Like, in most cases, you want a general use covenant that's used on most of your teams, if not all. And that's what Life Drain is. DPS covenants, they come and go. They come and go depending on your team. Like, Tawil wants streams because of the dupe card. Other people want certain things. This is too good. Now, back to the Alien Mist one. Why Alien Mist is good on people who want Alien Mist? Because Awakers that want Alien Mist regen also get a buff depending on the Alien Mist regen. That's sort of hidden, which is my hidden stat video, whatever. So let's go to one I know has hidden stat scaling. Tulu. Here. Every point of Alien Mist regen, every point, not percent, point, he has, buff. He gets buffed. Now let's go to another one which I know has it. I think it's here. Because her thing has high value. This, insane. G-Doll, good. So another unit that has it, like there's a lot of units which have it. You have to go with their talent and read. You can't read their skill because they put it here. Every one Alien Mist regen, blah, 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 does something. So Awakers that want the Alien Mist Covenant will want more on the stat. That's why it's a good Covenant. That's why you want to roll for it usually. Not every Awaker has it. Very few Awaker has it, but they have it, period. So, next general use covenant, which you saw when I was going over the Chinese whales, is DR. This is one most people believe in because you're going to die, especially on Alert 5 if you're playing not Blue or you're playing old trash. Because the problem with other realms that aren't blue, especially Ultra without Caster was their first defense unit. If you're planning to run Caro or Ultra or Chaos without, the blue shields, and whatnot, without good shielders, you're going to use Caster once. You have to do it 5 to 10 teams. You're probably going to die. There's not enough good shielders in the game outside of blue, outside of certain units like Calf or Caster, to let you live or heal up strong enough to survive A5. A5 difficulty, mobs do 2,000 to 4,000 damage at times. So you need the weakness, you need shields, you need healing, you need loss of damage mitigation, or you just live the one big hit they do and die. You proc DR. So that's why a lot of people tell you to roll at least one of these DRs. I have 2. One for Corporal and one for other things. And also, some units scale off of DR. Like, DR is not just because you think you're going to die. So, a lot of units scale off of DR themselves. And they get extra stacks, extra shielding, extra damage based on DR. So let's go over the units that have this. Let's go over a DPS one. Corpo. Every 1% DR she has on her Wheel of Destiny or Covenant increases her base damage by 0.2% and her shield by 0.05. So overall, you can get like close to 200% DR on the Covenant stuff if you whale out. I think it's over 200%. Let me double check to make sure. I think I have a DR wheel here. Yeah. So with 100%, 100%, 200%, and Covenant, you can probably get 100%. So 300%. So if you max out, it's like 300%. So 300% times this. Sorry about that. Every 1%. So it's 300 times 0.2%. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a decent damage buff. It's 60% more damage. So 60% more damage is nothing to sneeze at if you put on DR in here. And a lot of these Awakers have scaling on DR, insanely huge. Like Lily, for example, is another unit. It's probably the best unit that scales with DR defensively. Like every 1%, her defense is increased by this, blah, blah, blah. So you have to go in each Awaker if you want to know what stat they scale off of really well. I think they should make it more clear, for example. Like, this is Morimens' crit damage. How many of you knew that? Besides, because she's a support character, but people don't know that, she scales off crit damage. Like, a lot of Wickers, you have to just go on their talents and read. But unfortunately, because the game is AI translated, some of them don't even say it in their talent. You just have to know from going to the Chinese community. Because the problem with the using AI is if the text is too long, it cuts it out. Like, it doesn't even say it. So a lot of boss mechanics, if they're very long, you don't even know what the boss does. So hopefully they fix that. So that's why the DR Covenant, you want at least one of. I have two. Because I have one with crit rate for corporal DPS. So those are the three main covenants, support covenants, that you get for every player with limited resources. You start thinking about the other covenants after. After you get the Death Res, Burial Grounds. Remember, go to my spreadsheet, and it'll tell you where to come from. I call this Silver Baby, because they're going to retranslate this again, probably. It's called Life Drain. Silver Baby. And let's see. Alien Mystery Gen. Further Metamorphosis. Re-Evolution. Okay. This is... I'm gonna rant about this for a little bit. The set is called Re-Evolution. It's been retranslated a bunch of times. However, the name of the Covenant when you're buying it... Oh, they changed it. Never mind. I take it back. They fixed it. Nice. Re-Evolution, right here. It used to be called Further Metamorphosis right here in the shop, and different in the thing. So in one of the recent updates, they fixed it. So if you're confused with the spreadsheet, it's because they retranslated things. So okay, let's go to the main bread and butter DPS covenants, and what you should roll on every DPS covenant, and who uses every DPS covenant. I'll go over it all. Because some of the guides are very wrong. Like, there's more freedom than you expect. Don't copy. For most Awakers, they're very flexible in DPS covenants. There's only few Awakers where there's a clear best DPS covenant. Like Tawil. So if someone tells you to use X covenant, don't have to follow them. They're probably wrong in most cases. If they're not using my guides. So, because these two are probably the more universal ones. Dreams, you're probably going to use on a lot of teams. And this is probably the most general use one. Because this is pretty good. But I'll go over Dreams. Dreams is a Tawil Covenant. And Pikmin. And units that want to double up on their cards. This is a niche DPS Covenant. Mostly Tawil. That's why I roll crit rate, crit damage, damage amp, Keyblade. These are the only 4 stats you should ever look at on a damage covenant. Period. Now, let's go over general damage covenant rules. Go back to the spreadsheet. So, a damage covenant. The first 3 pieces are always crit. crit, 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 crit. So either crit rate, crit damage, crit rate, crit damage, crit rate, crit damage. Now, everyone has a different school of thought in regarding to crit rate versus crit damage. Everyone, Arc 1, if you go to any old guide, they will say crit rate is garbage. Crit rate is garbage. Crit rate is garbage. Every old Chinese guide from last year. Why do they say that, and why has it changed? In Arc 1, Chapter 1 through 9, there are Costco relics. You run my Costco build. That gives you 50 to 50+% crit rate. So in Arc 1, the old meta, you get all of your crit rate from the shop. In Arc 2, there are exactly zero relics with crit rate. So everyone re-rolled their covenants for crit rate. That is what changed. If you're in Arc 1, you can ignore the crit rate because you're going to get it from your relics. But whether you want to pick crit rate or crit damage is a personal choice. Some people will say you go all crit damage on your covenant and you roll for crit rate on the substats. It doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter. If you're following me, it doesn't matter. If it's maxed out, crit rate, crit damage, you lock it in, you go next piece. Why would you do that, Flayers? Why should we listen to you? You have to make 5+ DPS covenants for every single different DPS unit. If you're gunning for a specific stat for a DPS, you don't have the resources to do so. You settle for maxed out. You fucking settle and you'll like it. Okay? You give in. So, parts. I have crit damage. That's fine. Crit damage. Crit damage. Why would you do this, Flayers? You just told us it doesn't matter. Because I only use this on Tawil. And Tawil already has a source of crit rate from her wheel. This is what I mean that every DPS has a different criteria for crit rate versus crit damage. Some DPSs have wheels that give them crit rate already. So they don't need that much crit rate on their covenant. Like for most Jellet players, for example, let's go to my Jellet team. They use April or the other thing. They don't roll a lot of crit rate. Like me, I go all crit damage. Why would Jellet players do this? Most people wail out plus 12 Jellet. And you know what you get from each Enlighten? I have E3 Jellet. I don't have any crit rate. Most players pull crit rate. Guess what? You get 10% crit rate if you wail her out here. On top of that, you get 15% crit rate from playing her strike. And you can play it twice if you use Search and Wheels on her. So that's 30% plus 10%. That's 40% crit rate right there already if you wail them out, plus her base crit rate. So most Jellet players run 0 crit rate on their covenants, or almost none. If you're not wailing out on Jellet, if you have a weak Jellet, probably put on the crit rate. But most people you're going to watch if they're using whales. That's why you should listen to my guides and not follow those other guys, because I know the perspective from a free-to-play player, because I play every unit E0 to E3 for months, weeks, before I give an assessment at times. Like, I know what I'm talking about. People say I don't. I played every fucking comp in the game. I did 410 D-tie store. I know the strength and weaknesses of most comps. That is why when you're borrowing a Jellet, you're strong. When you're playing your Jellet, it's weak. You don't have the crit rate on your Jellet. I don't have the crit rate on my Jellet. I re-roll until I find the crit rate order because it's all seeded. So that is why it's subjective on crit rate versus crit damage. You have to look more than just the unit itself. So that is the important Dreams Cup for Tawil and why I roll it the way I did. Now let's go to the next meta DPS covenant, April Praise. It's recommended by most players endgame, even though it's not the best choice in some cases. But this is insane. Why is it recommended? Why is it so good as a general use set? This 6-piece unique. This 6-piece unique, if the enemy total HP is above 75%, your temp crit rate and crit damage increased by 35%. That means for that entire turn. So if you keep the enemy above 75%, that's your crit rate and crit damage for the entire turn. That means that if you start the battle, that entire turn, you get the boss to half HP. You still get the 35% crit rate and crit damage for that turn. You only lose it the turn after. So this is good if you're one-turning enemies. Or you're building up, you're keeping the boss alive for one super burst turn. And you keep this massive crit rate and crit damage. That's the reason why it's good. You stock up for one big unleashing your load on the enemy. And as usual, crit rate, crit damage, damage amp, all these stats. Key flare on everyone. Now, why do I have this DR right here? Because I settle. Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. This is the only reason why I have a DR. It's a maxed out covenant. I maxed out and I'm like, yep, this is good enough. I kept it. Most players would say re-roll it, but I like the percentage. I like not having to touch that wheel ever again. Remember, limited resources. So this goes on most DPS characters, and it's a good set to invest in usually if you're one-turning bosses like on Jellet or whatever. Now the next meta DPS covenant, Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is very, very, very good on a lot of DPS. Why? This. Base damage increased by 20%, and the poison and counter they deal are increased by 10%. You use this on blue 24, caucus, any unit that says deal equal for poison counter, like 24. Or on caster, because damage amp, very good. This is a good general use set. Very good set. So I have two Steppenwolf sets. I have a caster set and a regular cast Steppenwolf set with crit rate. This one goes all in on crit rate. 14%. Because I'm using this for general use. Most units want a lot of crit rate. Caster, I go 0% crit rate. That's why you make Covenant specific to the unit. So this is the wheel you use on caster. All crit damage and damage amp key flare is fine. Now, why would you use that on caster? Why do you not use crit rate? Caster, when you rouse him, auto crits. That is his thing. Awakers with always critically hit, always crit. You run 0 crit rate on him. That is why. Some Awakers always crit, and you don't put crit rate on them. Like a Pikmin. Pikmin's 4 cost, always crit. So, very good. And Blue 24, the reason why you put Steppenwolf on Blue 24, she does poison, she wants everything, you put on crit rate on her. So let's go to Paradox. Paradox Covenant. Also a meta DPS covenant. You put this on Awakers that don't deal their damage through their exalt and purely through their card damage. And they don't care about exalting a lot, or they have so much alias regen, you don't care about the negative effect. So the negative effect of this is their alias cap and consumption increased by 20. That means it takes 20 more, that's a negative effect, but this buffs their crit rate, crit damage, shield, and HP recoveries of their cards by 20%. Insane value. You put this on Calf and Salvador. This is a Calf and Salvador wheel. Now, why is it Calf and Salvador wheel? Calf all of her damage from her Solar Flare and Hyper Flare, which are cards. Not her Exo. You don't care about her Exo. And she has insane Ailments regen already, and it buffs her shield gen, as I showed in my other videos on how to run Calf. Oh, let me go over Salvador, since Salvador's banner's up. So, why he uses on Salvador? His Exalt? It's not important. Important, his cards and his shield gen from End of Suffering. You saw my video on him. He also does all the effects of the wheel. He does damage, he shields, he heals. It's 20% on all that. So on any Awaker that depends on their cards, crit rate, crit damage, shield, heals, you put Paradox on. Like Calf. This is mainly a Calf wheel right now. So that's the situation where you would use that. Now, the two more niche DPS wheels. I call these niche because less Awakers use them than the other wheels but they're still very good. Pulse is the least niche one out of the two. This one I use on my Thorazine. For Thorazine, you either use April or Crimson Pulse. I use Crimson Pulse. You know why? Thorazine deals more damage the less HP the boss has. When the boss has less HP, this will not proc. And he cannot one-turn most bosses at endgame. So you're going to lose this. This, after you pausing, which you'll do, you get 30% temporary crit rate. He needs it desperately if you don't wail on him. If you don't wail on him, he needs this crit rate. Crit damage, crit rate. Very good. I run this on Thorazine. Any Awaker that gets that you pause for your attack, you put this on. Very good generous. Even on Angelic. Some people say put this on Angelic because you're gonna dupe her cards for that crit rate. I don't believe in that. So let's go over the last meta DPS one. The Riker. Since Riker run. This one, you roll all crit rate. All crit rate. You don't care about crit damage. You're putting this on Awakers that want to crit always for Key Flare. Whatever, getting 35 Key Flare when doing damage, 70 Key Flare for crit damage, triggered 3 times per turn. This is Riker. You already know why if you watch my Riker video. He's a gacha within a gacha, and he gets an effect if he crits. Unexpected gain. If crit, reduce the chosen card's cost by 2. Also this. For each critical hit, gain Alimus. This is mostly a Riker wheel. This is why. So, that is the Riker Covenant. I don't know why I said wheel again. Curses. Curses. Fuck the world. Okay. That goes over every meta DPS wheel. Anyone recommending you any other DPS wheel? They don't exist. Those are every one you're going to be used, period. Like, you can talk about Twisted Twins. Garbage. Like, add a strike. There are no good strike-based units endgame. Strike scales terribly in the current state. And why would you use Twisted Twins Black? Crit rate 4. When you use any other DPS Covenant. Like, this is 4.8% crit, and getting an extra strike at odd turns only, so it's only effective half the time, versus, let's say, this, or versus this, which is permanent. Why would you use this over this? Yeah, not good. Would not recommend Twisted Twins. Now this, not used at all end game, but early game, this is going to be your only Covenant, so it's very good for early game. You don't need your first turn. Sometimes first turns you need it. So this, I believe in certain comps. For the sigil gain and this. The defense, you're going to use this on certain units. However, it's not that meta. I believe in it. I like this. I use it on my Nautilus. Or units that relies on their defense a lot. So, And that goes over every meta covenant. Now, you can stop the video now, or watch me roast every non-meta covenant. Half of you are going to stay and watch me roast every non-meta covenant, because that's what you're here for. So let me go over my spreadsheet, because I don't even invest in non-meta covenants. Because you're limited in resources. You don't have the money or the resources to even meme in this game. Even if you spend money, you cannot get more and more pens to build all of these covenants. This is a lot of covenants. This is a lot of things. So Deus Ex, we already went over it, but Deus Ex, this one. Gain 1 at Rift, Realm Mastery. That's why it's bad. In this, every 4 turns in boss battle. Bad. You would rather put in any other covenant, such as Life Drain or Support Covenant. So yeah, end game, pretty bad. Early game, it's fine. Let me just fix this up while I'm here. I'm going to fix up my spreadsheet in real time while I'm recording this video. Whisper of Burial Grounds, yep, here we go. Immaculate Chronicles. So these are the Twisted Twins. Defense Strike, again, I went over why they're not good. Like, this is DR, but why would you run this when you can run this, which is more DR? Because you can run multiple of this Burial Grounds. So rather just run Burial Grounds. So you get this at Chapter 4, very good. This is Meta Covenant. Immaculate Chronicle. This is another Keyflare regen. However, it's extremely niche. And it scales badly endgame. Extremely terribly endgame. So, this effect, after triggering Posse, restores HP equal to 12% of your constitution. Restores lost HP equal to 25% of wearer's constitution. Up to damage. So, best case is 36% if you're at 1 HP, I guess. After you Posse. However, besides Caucus and Goliath, even with Caucus, let's say you have the Caucus level 90. That's about 200 constitution. 200. That's 72 HP. That's 72 HP. Endgame. Let me tell you. In endgame, when you have 1500 to 2400 life, 72 HP is not going to save you. Instead of 72 HP, you would want any other stats so you don't get that load to begin with. So that's why this is a pretty bad covenant. Because you rather just want more SK regen with Life Drain. So let me fix this. Again, I do not know why these keep moving. I think it's every time I load this in or someone's fiddling with it. I don't give access. That's why I don't give access to my sheet that often to other people. Because stuff just moves around. Probably make this neater later. Again, it is a chaotic spreadsheet. Because I did this in my free time and I work on it when I'm bored. And it's a solo project. Now, here we go. Life Drain, it's meta. April, I went over it. This is where you get it, Chapter 8. So, Steppenwolf, meta covenant, I went over that. Organic Form, this is not the icon, this is Jack in the box. Where is it? Okay, this is Cursed Rabbit, goes down here. Ring of Chamber there. Let's see, where's further metamorphosis? Sorry about this, I'm not going to edit this out. You know me. I'm going over this. I already told you. I already went over every meta covenant, everything that's important already. If it's not important, this is the not important segment of the video. So I can fix my spreadsheet. I'm pretty sure people would like for me to fix this. Here we go. This is Organic Form. Let me put this back. Boom. No, this is not here. Where is it? Here. Paradox. Wherever Scarlet Tremor is, unfortunate. It's somewhere here. Probably underneath this. Nope. Okay, going back. Organic Form. It reduces your death res and increases your elements of the wearer's once. Garbage. Why would you want to lose all of your DR at the very start of exploration? Why would you ever want this effect? And it only triggers once. And remember, 100% for 15 Alienus. 15 Alienus for 100% DR. That is not a good trade. Just put in the meme. I give you $2. You give me your entire life insurance policy. That's what it was. That is scamming you. This is scamming you. This butterfly is scamming the fuck out of you. It's telling you to pull Ultra, basically. Paradox, meta, went over it. Scarlet Tremor, I went over it. It's the heart. Dreams, meta, I went over it. Feast, meta, I went over it. Ring of Chamber. Now, this is a niche covenant. It's not bad. People have used this to great effect. However, it is very, 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 very niche. It's used in Sangha. Sangha uses this. Don't have much else to say about it. It is so niche, you don't have the resources to use this. I have nothing bad to say about Ring of Chamber. It does have its use. Is it garbage? No. In teams which uses it, it does very well. However, it's so rarely used that you don't have the resources to really build it until very, very, very late game. And there are stronger comps, and the strongest comps in the game don't use this. It's mostly like the extremely niche comps that use this Ring of Chamber. But you will see it used a lot in D-Tide by endgame players because it does work very well on Sangha comps and comps like that. On some very rare Dorsing comps, I've seen it work to great effect. The thing is, very few Awakers rely on their Exalt damage. It's mostly just Sangha, now that I think about it. So yeah, that's the reason why it's bad. Curse of Rabbit. Yeah, this is garbage. Mostly because of this. Roll Master, you don't want that. Shield and Ace recovery 12%. Yeah, you don't want this. Because if you want more shield, this 60% more defense and you get money. Like, let's say you want this on G-Doll. Worthless. You know why? She wants ailments regen. Everyone that heals and shields wants other covenants that does it better. This covenant, if it was included as an additional effect to another covenant, it's fine. But as a standalone covenant effect, it's just bogged down by this Roam Mastery stat right here. And this 12% is not enough to justify running it over covenants that let you heal up more through ailments regen, or comps that let you kill the boss faster. And this is meta. Yeah, that's basically it. That's the video. So, in order to pad for more content, I'm gonna go over one more thing because I've seen people try to recommend covenants. I'm gonna go over every unit and tell you what covenants they want. And I know people want, because this is gonna be my last video on covenants. I don't want to be asked about covenants anymore. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna go over every single unit in the game. What covenant do they want? Now let me go to an empty thing. Let me quick team lineup. And let me go over the entire list. The entire fucking list of units. So let's see here. Chaos, Tawil, Dreams, Calf, Paradox, Feast, Paradox or Feast. Paradox is what I would recommend for the damage, shields, and everything. Feast, if you're playing full defense Calf, but I don't see the reason for it. You need a crit rate. There's no other option. You don't use anything else, just Paradox. Ogier, flexible. He's a support unit. Ogier, if you're playing him as I play him as a key flare bot. So I put in this. On my teams, I run him on. Because I always play his cards, and it's good. Alternatively, if you want him to, you put him on the DR comp. Again, it depends on the team. This or this. But there's a third option people don't talk about much, which is Feast. So, Ogier is a unit that everyone, even free to play, will have plus 12 if you've been buying his mats every week. And this sigil yield. Look at this. Read this. 1% sigil yield Ogier has. Temporary strength gain from 7 Earth. Yeah. So you put on Feast that you roll sigil yield on. And he has a very strong defense scaling. 20%. And at maxed out, he has very high defense stats. So this, combined with Feast, will shield him up a lot. So those are the 3 covenants I would run him. Probably run Feast if you believe in Ogier, you like using him. I don't run this on him usually now. I run him as an SQ bot because I need it. So those are the 3 covenants Ogier wants. Hamel. Life Drain. There's only one covenant you want on him. Life Drain. Actually, this is quick. We're meaning to do this. Unselect. Let's go to next 3. So, G-Doll. Only one choice. Alien Mist Regen. Nautilus. You either go on Feast or Death Res. No other option. Ramona. You either go for Key Flare, no other option. So only Life Drain. Number. Where's Life Drain? Life Drain. This, only on Ramona. She's a Key Flare unit. Why is she a Key Flare unit? Let me go over it one more time. Talent. This. There's no Key Flare. Yep. Attribute. Blah, blah. Key Flare regen. For each Key Flare, Key Flare, Key Flare, Key Flare. See this? Everything she has, Key Flare. And this, Key Flare regen, start about, Key Flare equals to 120% of her Key Flare regen. Guess what? We're putting Key Flare on her, even if we're running her as our damage dealer. Key Flare. So, those 3 are done. Let me go on the next 3 units. So, Lotan, Doll, Nymph. Now, Lotan, what do you want on her? Damage Covenant. She's one of the few strike units. Now, you can either believe in the strike, or you play real OE Lotan, the Alien Mist Regen. I believe in the Alien Mist Regen more. I believe in this more, but there's no wrong option here. Or Paradox. Paradox is also pretty decent on her. Basically, she's kind of a flexible unit. She's kind of a niche unit, but she can do A5. The reason why she's very good, I went over in several videos, is because of her OE. Her OE does 15% fixed damage, equal to target max HP. Regardless, the boss has 10 trillion HP. It does 15%. So, next unit. Doll. What do you want on Doll? Basically, on Doll, you either want the Alien Mist regen, or DR. That's it. There's no other option there. Because she's not really strong Key Flare bot, and she does have this. Every one Alien Mist regen, her heal is buffed. So that's what you really want on Doll. Is her Alien Mist regen. But she doesn't heal a lot anyway, so you put on the DR on her. Now, Nymph. Very niche bad unit. But except for she got buffed, so she's pretty decent now. So, now she has this. So, damage amp, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you don't really run her as a damage unit because she doesn't inflict enough poison. But if you really want to run her as damage unit, you put on the Steppenwolf. Because Steppenwolf buffs her poison, blah, blah, blah. But I run her as a Key Flare bot as well. Because why do I run her as a Key Flare bot? You're going to get Enlightened on her. And she has scaling with Key Flare and damage amp. She has scaling with this. So that's why you want to run. I run her as a Key Flare bot, in case you're wondering. So, next 3 units. Pandia, Alba, Karen. Karen. Alien Mist. No choice here. She has that same talent as everyone else. Where is it? She basically wants to excel a lot for this, for her Capcom. You don't really play any other cards. You don't really play her cards enough to make her a Key Flare bot, or put on the DR wheel on her. Alba. Only one person really plays Alba for the one person. DR. Because you're gonna die if you play her. DR. Yeah, she's not a good unit. Pandia, again, Steppenwolf. She's a pretty bad unit counter-wise, but this is crit rate. You put on crit rate Covenant on her. So crit rate Covenant is any of the things I went over. So probably the hand crit. I would probably use this because she does multi if you really want to run her. But I would not even run that. I'll run this because this is too good. Counter DL increase. And just roll crit rate on the Steppenwolf. But again, do not recommend using her. So this next 3 units. So Lily, DR, she scales off DR. 24, there's only one choice, Steppenwolf. Riker, there's only one choice, hand crit. He needs that crit rate. Okay, next realm. Caucus, Corporal, Goliath, Arita. Caucus. Steppenwolf. Counter. That's why. Corpo. DR. She scales off DR. Or, if you want to dupe her lightning, Dreams. Dreams, if you want to dupe her cars, if you're running DPS Corporal, put this. If you're not running DPS Corporal, put it on the DR. Goliath. He just sits there in the back, looking pretty. You put on DR on him. Or this. Basically anything. He's a support. He's played as a support at endgame. Arita. Arita has options compared to everyone else. Arita can either put the hand crit, which is Riker, because she does multi-hit, and she'll trigger this 3 times a turn. Or you put in the Alien Mystery Gen, or the Dreams, so you can shuffle through your deck faster and discard more. Those are the 3 covenants. And why? Or Alien Mystery Gen. Why? Because this. But this is too low unless you have a very invested Arita. 1% of her attack is like 1. It's very bad. She only has like 100 attack stat. So generally, you don't put down Alien Mystery Gen. You rather do Power of Friendship so you can use this as much as you can. And you start with more glands at the very start. So she scales faster off of Dreams. I'll put on Dreams or the crit one on Arita if you really want to run her. So next. Celise. DR. No other choice. You don't run anything else. You don't care about this. Some people say Rollmaster. Okay. I will tell you about the Chinese meta. Do not do this. Do not do this. It does work. I will not say it doesn't work. It does work. The Chinese meta, because they have the game for longer than we have, they're deeper in wheel jail, is to plus 12 Glutton's Tale, plus 12 Sail of Providence. You plus 12. Okay, you're already watching this video and going, what the fuck are you talking about, players? This is the Chinese meta. You do both of these to get maxed out Roadmaster, which is 72. 72. 72. That's 144. Right there. Tons of healing. Tons of Realm Mastery. Okay? You follow me? You plus 12 those 2 wheels. You go in and you put in one of these trash wheels that becomes not trash. Now that I went over. Where the fuck is it? I think it's this one. Nope, not that one. This one. This is Returnal Line. You roll all Realm Mastery this. So in the end, you'll have roughly 200 Realm Mastery. If you have those plus 12 wheels and invested Celise. So, at the start of your turn, 200% Realm Mastery, by the way. It's about 250. So 250. There we go. So you start with an extra 2 tentacles. Yep. Chance doubles in boss battles. So let's say you have 250 Realm Mastery. Let me do this real quick. 250 divided by 4. 25, 50. 75 roughly. 75. Yeah, you can get like 2 maybe 3 extra tentacles in boss battle, and it works. I've seen it works. You start. I've seen Chinese comps start with 4 or 5 tentacles if you want to ramp up fast, and it does heal for a lot. I will not say it doesn't work. Like, I would not say it doesn't work, unlike people who say that Clem works, which is she's fucking garbage. So, there we go. So, and with all that, you get 250 row mastery. So, 0.3% times 250. So, she always triggers this. Yeah, it works. Would I recommend it? No, it's too much investment. It's too much investment, but that's what 2 Chinese players do. And they do endgame very well. It does work. It does work. You will. This doesn't apply to 99 point. No, I'm gonna go over. It doesn't apply to 100% of people watching this video. If you're watching this video and you think this applies to you, it doesn't. So yeah. So Pharaohs. If you want the player not recommended as a not support, put on this poison, damage amp. Do not recommend that. You put on DR because you're probably going to proc DR if you run her. She's a good filler unit for her Exalt, not for her poison. Because this damage amp scales off of damage amp. Steppenwolf gives a damage amp. And she also does poison, so that's what I want to run on her. So you put on the Steppenwolf, not on the cast one, this one. So Sangha. Generally, DR. Sangha, generally DR. Why? Scales off DR. So you put on Burial Grounds. Tulu, there's only one choice. Put on Further. Why do you put on Further? Scales off Alien Mystery Gen. There's no choice, no decision making there at all. Next few units. Let's go. I think I went over everyone. Yep. Miriam is a more unique character. Sometimes you put on Dreams, depending on the team, because you want to dupe her chosen one, which is Retain Prepare. So you get 2 of this in your hand, so you can fill up Alien Mist on any other unit. She's a good battery for that. So you put on Dreams if you're running her that way. Or you put on Alien Mist, you want to exile a lot on her to scale if you have OE Miriam. Or you put on crit damage. Why do you put on crit damage flares on Miriam? Most people don't know if you wear her out and you use her a lot. She scales off crit damage. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why she scales off crit damage, but her crit damage increases her strength gen, tentacle damage, alien mist, and poison, whatever. So she actually gives more alien mist to your team if she has crit damage. Go figure. So yeah, you just want to put crit damage on her. Why does it work like that? What were devs thinking? I have no idea what the devs were thinking, dude. I have no idea. Gel. There are 3 possible wheels you want to use for her. You either use Crimson Pulse, April, or Hand. These are the only 3 you should look at. Most people will say April. So just put on the April on Jelly. It's pretty easy. Thorazine. Crimson Pulse. I do not believe in April that much on him because, again, how he works. Lay. Pretty useless now, even with the buff. She's not really that really good compared to other units. Unfortunate. Because, remember, her stats are too low. Like, again, let's meme on her stats a bit. Yeah. Nice stats. A fucking child has more stats than you. Yeah, and, yeah. It's a pretty bad unit overall. What stats do you want on her? What stats, I wonder? Yeah, and there's no stats you want on her. So just put on the DR wheel because you're gonna proc DR if you have her in your team. So, Ubosh, damage unit. Now you're gonna overexalt for most of your damage, and since you're gonna overexalt and you're in play cards, so you either put on April for 1 big burst turn, or alternatively, you can put on Crimson Pulse because you're in a posse, get more crit rate. Yeah, those are basically the only 2 I recommend on them. If you really want to play Uvash, Uvash does work at high investment levels. So let's see here. Next 4 units. Faint. DR. Again, this video is dragging along because I want to make one video. Agrippa. Again, as soon as there's a Carol poison unit, she's going to be very good. As soon as there is one. Sigil gain or DR. I generally use DR because I'm running her in the G.com. The dying G.com. So I put it on DR. But eventually, when there's a poison Carol unit, 10 years from now, you put on Feast. And you roll Sigil gain, and she'll do a lot of defenses. As soon as there's a Carol poison unit. One day, guys. One day. So people use her as a key flare bot or as a Alimus. So if you're running her with dies or whatever, some people use this, some people use this. It depends on you. Why would you use her as a key flare bot? This is free. You play the 3 cost, you get it refunded. This is free key flare regen. Why would you want to run Alimus? Her Exalt, very important. Her Exalt, extremely important. It stuns enemies. So you want it to recharge after every battle, basically, after you use it. So it's back up again. Now, Hellet, again, very niche unit. Not really used except for extremely wailed out in a Hellet comp. Because she does have synergy with Jellet. Some Chinese whales run over. But it only works if you're extreme whale for the stats. Her stats, unlike Lei, are very good. She gives a lot of health to your team just by running her. However, she is weaker than other damage carries. So if you're running her, it's just for her health. But she's one of the few cases where you want Twisted Twins given a strike because she is a strike unit. But again, very niche unit. Would not recommend. So, next 4 units. Let's go over Sorel. Sorel, again, is the worst limited Caro. Even after buff, crit rate. That's what you put on her. Because it buffs the alien Mr. Gen from the thing. Crit rate, and she eats infinite babies. So, pick a covenant. It doesn't matter. Pick a covenant. You're not going to use her. You're not going to use her in most cases. It's pretty bad. So just put one of the damage covenants. Probably not the April, because the HP is going to get low. You're going to kill one turn. It's going to take too many turns. It's probably one of these covenants. And you're not going to use this because most of her damage is from her Exalt. Actually, I've seen it with Ring of Chamber. Ring of Chamber 36 is one of the niche units that can use Ring of Chamber. But she's a pretty bad unit overall. Now, Salvador, I went over 4. There's only one choice. Paradox. Because most of his damage comes from his cards. Thighs. Key Flare Bot. Unless you're switching her with Aegis, then you use the ALMS regen. Pikmin. Now, generally, the best way to use him is Dreams, but if you are using Dreams on someone else, you put in the ALMS regen. That's what Pikmin works off of. Remember, Pikmin, talent. Yeah, her ALMS cost. So, about put it on Dreams on him. So, next 4 units. You should be thankful I'm doing this for you guys. Next 4 units. Jenkins. April. You want to kill stuff one turn all the way to the boss. And that helps you do it. And crit rate in general. She scales extremely well off crit rate. She's one of the good ultra units. Nothing bad of her. I like her a lot. This is why. She wants a lot of crit rate. The more crit rate, the better. Caster, I went over it. You make a separate covenant for him, Steppenwolf, which only rolls crit damage and damage amp. You ignore crit rate. That's what you want to run on Caster. Liz, would not recommend using it, but you have to use it. She's a poison unit, so put on a Steppenwolf. Tanked, again, would not recommend using her. She's a pretty bad unit. Her stats are very low. But if you really want to use her, Scissor Yod increases her temporary crit rate gain. So, again, she's a niche covenant too. So, it's pretty bad. I'm not recommending any of them. Swinkle, Erica, then Daff. So Daff, you have choices here. So some people will say run Steppenwolf is a good general use choice, or one of these, or even April. Doesn't matter. She's gonna get the last hit usually. She's a very good ultra unit, so pick one of those wheels. Cassia is very niche. You can use it on Capcoms, but generally, if you're gonna cheese it, you use the Elements Regen so she can exalt more because she has a very good relic. Erica is an S key bot. You put on the S key. Winkle, Elements Regen, Brain Dead. There's no other choice. So let's go to next war. Or last two units. Horla, DR, only DR. She has a buff which she scales up better off DR than before. She got buffed recently. Here we go. Every 1%. And down here, increase the DR she has. So yeah, she scales doubly off of DR. Wanda, would not recommend, but if you have to use her, Steppenwolf. Yep, that's everyone. Video's done. Holy shit, this long video. And again, should be thanking me. Post this on Reddit, post this wherever. Don't care.